You're at first, Ben.
All right, so you've been kind of halfway joking about, you know, being asked to do offensive clinics now after all the defensive stuff.
Back to defense.
What's gone into? I mean, I looked at the Ken Palm numbers going back to the day you got here. Your offenses, and this year it's almost dead even, but the offenses have been above the defenses every year, even the first year. What has gone into that?
Honestly, don't know. I'm going to call Ken Pomeroy and ask him. I do figure that, you know, sometimes the previous years factor in. So it takes years to balance it out, to years to go off. So he has, just like the AP has to, you know, people have to guess and rank teams. So as they do rankings to start the year, there's numbers from the previous year. But don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure, but you know, to your point, I think these offense is pretty simple in basketball. If you can play 5-on-5, you have a better chance of scoring if you play 4-on-5. If you, same as if you play, and if your chances go down if you're playing 3-on-5. Meaning, if you don't have 5 guys, if you only have 2 or 3 guys, the other team knows that's the only guys who can really score. It's hard to scheme. It's not, you know, it's, you actually might be a better coach if you can win with only two guys that can score. So, you know, I've dealt with all of it through the years. You know, I'll take you back to 20 years ago, my first team. I was at Murray State. Go Racers. We played 5-on-5. We averaged 82 a game, second in the nation in assist and field goal percentage. But we played 5-on-5. So I think that's the key. You know, talent is the key. So it's there's a lot more to it than just numbers. I said, well, this guy's a defensive guy. That's why I make fun of it, because, you know, it would be like me saying I know why Marshalls put certain clothes in what aisle, just because I walked in there one day. I mean, you know, just because people watch a game, they think they know, you know. But I understand it is what it is.
But with the efficiency, the turnovers have been just off the charts excellent this year, and I'm assuming Tiger.
Now, we do practice that. Yeah, we're huge on no turnovers. We chart them in practice. We talk about them every day. That would bring my, the biggest thing that would draw my ire is a turnover. Like we have a saying, you know, who turns the ball over? I make them say it. You're either soft or a bad player. Really good players don't turn the ball over unless they're just being lazy. They're gambling. You know, they're making bad decisions. So you know, but when you have the ball, you have to be responsible for the whole team. And it just goes back to, you know, I don't come in here and try to impress you guys talking about analytics, but, you know, like I said, we were doing that stuff. I worked for Bob Huggins in the 90s. I mean, you get more shots off than the other team. You know, I don't have to get admitted to UCLA to tell you we got a better chance. Okay, so if you're plus in rebounding, you're plus in turnovers, you're probably going to be plus in field goal attempts. You're plus in possessions. So you got a better chance to win. So we practice that one. Yeah, and Tiger's great at it. To your point, yeah, Tiger's he's a great. He's been, you know, he and I have come along. You know, we've been together a long time now. It's been a huge advantage for me. But he is he's never out of control. It's almost like, you know, if David misses a shot, you're surprised. If Tiger turns it over, you're surprised, because he just doesn't, you know, he doesn't gamble with the ball. You know, that's why all coaches love Tiger. You know, anybody I talk to, you know, coaches around the country that I talk to in basketball, you know, everybody loves Tiger. Because coaches hate turnovers now. They drives them nuts.
But last thing on efficiency, I think you're 6 and 7, 6 in offense, 7 in defense. To be that high in both categories makes you a dual threat and very hard to beat, seems like.
Yeah, but, you know, we'll see if we're 6 and 7 tomorrow against USC.
Yeah.
You know, so just because, you know, those numbers say they do mean something, but it's what you have done. So, you know, I think it's indicative of what you're capable of. our offense wasn't as efficient as I would have liked it on the road trip. We're still searching in that area now. Obviously, we abruptly lost Amari, so that throws a little, that throws off your rotation. So, as you're trying to get Will, Dylan, and Abramo, figure out your rotations, offensively, I'd like us to get back to being more efficient.
How is Amari?
He's good. He's got a foot injury. It's just it's going to take some time. I don't think it'll take that much time, but I don't know. One thing about it is I'm semi-intelligent, but I'm not a doctor. So I know this around here. We take care of our players first. So he's had multiple opinions on it. So it's not anything. It's going to affect his career. But he won't. He'll be back out there when he's ready. But I mean, he's not going to play tomorrow.
Coach, since you've been here, to have this rivalry between UCLA and USC be competitive and be healthy, what do you think that does for college basketball in LA and the state of both of your programs?
Well, I think it's great. They since I've been here, they've had some great players. The Mobleys and Onyeka Okongwu. They've got Boogie Ellis, and Drew Peterson's had an unbelievable career. So, it's been what I like about our USC rivalry is it's about basketball. It is. I'm not saying there's not bad blood. I don't know. I mean, LA is such a big city. I'm sure there's families that get upset over it, but. We don't. The difference is a lot of rivalries. I came from Cincinnati Xavier. I was part of Kentucky Louisville. We're in the same league, so we played 3 times last year. So it's probably it's different, even just for our football program. We play so often, and our guys probably know each other so well in the small basketball world nowadays. Our rivalry is about basketball. It's not a rivalry out of hatred by any stretch. I have great respect for their program.
And Adem coming off such a strong performance, for those who are kind of getting used to the freshman's presence, what can you tell us about the young man off the court and the type of guy he is?
Adem's an unbelievable kid. Guys like Adem and Kenny, people don't really understand their perspective on life is so much different than American kids. When you come from countries that are not quite as developed, and you don't grow up with the amenities that all of our kids grow up with. So, they have a maturity beyond their years, and they're an appreciation. They're thankful for everything. But Adem's he's a life guy. The guy, I mean, he's always in a good mood. He's always got a smile, and guys like him are healthy for your team. It's good for the coach too. He's always bringing a smile, even when I'm down. He's one of those guys put his arm around you. It's going to be all right, coach.
How much did you like seeing David kind of, at the end of that game, kind of keeping him away from trouble on that play where he got kind of taken?
Oh
out?
yeah, Dave's such a leader. Dave, like I've said this about Dave. David was the key. I know, and I stay in touch with all our guys. Cody, Jules. Those guys are doing great, but David coming back was huge for us. He is a tremendous leader. He is the more, Tiger's a leader by example. He's more of a quiet leader. David is the vocal one. He really is. He's got coach written all over him when he's done playing, if he wants to, but he's got success written all over him. David he has tremendous work ethic. A maturity about his character that he's gotten from. He's got great parents. He reminds me a lot of myself. One of his parents being a teacher. His father being in training. So he's seen what it's like. He's just got great work ethic. And it rubs off on our team. So it's fun to see this too, because with Johnny and Jules and Peyton coming in, David's role was diminished, and he deserves to have the season that he's having right now. He's such a good kid. He's done so much for our program.
Coach, these guys really do know each other really well.
Oh, yeah.
They've been playing so long. Is it more detailed, like they know if somebody has a tendency going to the right to the left? They just know
Yeah.
these guys
Well,
well.
I will say though, there's a lot of new ones in this rivalry. You know, this year, they got a lot of new guys, and we got a lot of new guys. Now most of them being local, you know. So like Dylan and Kajani played high school together. You know, I know Kajani's a great kid. His mom's a great lady. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of familiarity. So the scouting report's a little bit easier when you go to show. Because the other thing is, when we do game prep, you have to understand, like we play Washington State. Then the game's over. We're watching. Then we're preparing for Washington, but we're watching their game. USC. They always, you know, we always scout each other because we're watching the other team. So it's even more so because of the pairs, you know, and the travel partners. So not just the local factor. So we all, you know, we know them extremely well. They know us extremely well. But I go back to this. So, you know, I think the thing about this rivalry, I was part of the Crosstown Shootouts, the most heated, hated rivalry. You know, especially at different times. You had ranked teams. It was crazy. It was unhealthy at times. You know, the thing I like about it's about basketball, so you don't have to worry about crazy stuff. You know, so you can just worry about the game. And we're going to play again, and we might play again in Vegas. So, you know, maybe one day you play 4 times, play again in the NCAA tournament.
It's kind of unique though, in a sense that these guys know each other for so long. They're actually making memories with people who were, you know,
Oh yeah.
years from now. Like they
No, it's. But I'm sure it's. You know, I'm sure if you talk to the guys, I know there's guys that I've spoken to that I've met, you know, that still, you know, lament the '70s. You know, where Coach Boyd, who I didn't know till I really moved here, that how great of a coach he was. But he didn't make the NCAA tournaments because back then, if you didn't win the Pac-12, you couldn't get past UCLA. You couldn't get to the NCAA tournament. How USC had some great teams. You know, Bob Boyd had some great teams, and he was an elite coach. So my friend Larry Stacey schooled me on that. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't know that. It was quite amazing. So it's great that you know, Andy does a great job, and you know, it's all, like I said, it's about basketball. You know, they got a good team. They're coming off a tough one. Washington State's a lot better. It doesn't surprise me what happened. Washington State's a lot better than their record.
Coach Enfield's kind of been the reverse in a sense because he came in with the Dunk City
Yeah.
reputation, and now they're
Since
built
I've
on
gotten here, he's
defense.
doing defensive
Yeah.
flex. They defend the rim really well, Ben. Since he's been here, you know, it's really hard to score around the basket against them. I think they were at 37% field goal percentage defense. Washington State made a ton of shots on them, and they went up to like 38. But they're still top 10 in the nation. I think they're 7th in field goal percentage defense. So and then their 2-point defense is elite, and it has been. You know, even with the side, you know, the Mobley's gone. You know, Josh Morgan does a good job protecting the rim, but it's schematic. You know, they that's what they do. It's really hard to score in a half court around the rim against them. Their first shot defense has been great since I've been here. You know, like you said, Andy's been here longer than I have, so it was a little bit different, I guess. But somewhere along when I got here, it changed. He flipped. He's doing defensive clinics now.
Coach, last week you talked about the team needing to experience a comeback win, and then you go to Washington State, have a comeback win.
Yeah.
What can you say about the team when things don't go right for them? They just continue to fight, and then they eventually get that win.
Well, what's good here, the reason that's important is because now you can say, how did we come back? We maximized our possessions on offense, and they didn't score a field goal in the last 7 minutes against us. So, you know, as a coach, you preach about, you know, all coaches, we preach the same stuff. But when it's reinforced in a victory like that, you know, hopefully the guys learn, you know, this is what happens. Now, we couldn't get a stop, and that's why we were losing. And we won because we got stops, and we started finishing better. We started getting to the foul line. So it reinforces the things that you're teaching. And it gives the guys some, you know, hopefully, look, that's not going to be the last time we're in that situation. you know, so you guys understand, you know, how do you come back in a game? You know, maximize your possessions on one end, and get stops on the other end. So, and getting to the foul line is big as well, because it stops the clock, as you gain on your opponent. So, yeah, it's necessary, but it's always, you know, it's not good for the coach's health. You have to do that.
And really quickly, you just talked about free throws. You guys went 28 for 30 in both games.
Yeah, I'm
You know?
not going to comment on that. No. Actually, I'm glad that happened with my dad's not in town. If he would have been in with me, he'd have taken credit for that.
How were the holidays with him? How long was he in town?
No, he's on his way back. You know, so he'll be back next week. So he'll be back next week. He checks the weather before he.
Wait for the rain.
Yeah, he checks the weather before he books his trips back. But he would have definitely taken credit for the free throws if he was around. But it's nice to see. I mean, like, you know, I talked about after the game, making free throws matters. There's so many games that I think the public and people, you know, I give you a game, you go look it up, national championship, Syracuse, Kansas. Syracuse won the game. Go look at Kansas's free throw attempts, and it was unbelievable how many Kansas missed in that game. I mean, unbelievable. And it's a totally, you know, they win the game probably 5 to 10 points if they make free throws in that game. So it matters. It definitely matters. And we try not to give up free throws. You know, we're always, I don't know where we're at right now, but we're always top 20 in fewest fouls in the country. I'm a big believer in no free throws. They're also, that's how your best players end up on the bench. It's hard to win.
Coach, oh yeah, I was just gonna ask, being from Cincinnati, the unity that the city showed on Monday night, I guess, what did you see and feel from that community as sports fans?
I'll be honest, I've been sick, so I wasn't really up on what was going on.
Yeah.
But it's just a reminder of how fragile life is, you know, for all these kids, you know.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.